So let's talk about Venezuela. It's a country at a huge crossroads. The longtime leader, Nicolas Maduro, is out. And for many, that feels like a new chapter is finally beginning. But what's actually happening on the ground? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the evidence to figure out if this is a real move towards democracy or maybe just a clever performance. This quote from a construction worker in Caracas just sums it up perfectly, doesn't it? After so many years of turmoil, there's this incredible sense of relief, almost like something that was stuck has finally been cleared. You can practically feel the hope in a statement like that. And that optimism brings us right to the heart of the puzzle we're exploring today. We have to ask the tough question, are we really watching a fundamental shift, a true transition to democracy? Or is the old regime just putting on a new face to hang on to power? Okay, let's start with the case for optimism, even if it's a cautious one. Maduro is gone. His former vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is now in charge, and this is key, she has the backing of the US. This has kicked off a huge wave of hope. I mean, recent polls show that 4 out of 5 Venezuelans believe things are actually going to get better within a year. So where are people feeling this change the most? Well, it all starts with the economy. The new government has made some really interesting moves that suggest things are opening up, and you just can't ignore the early results. The first big thing is cash. $300 million from a new U.S. brokered oil deal have poured right into the banking system. And the effect has been immediate. It's helped stabilize the currency in a major way and really calm down those fears of hyperinflation. But it's not just about a quick cash infusion. We're also seeing talk of big structural changes. Reforming the country's oil laws is a huge priority for the U.S. The old way gave all the power to the state-run company PDVSA. But the proposed reforms, they'd give much more control to private companies, cut their royalties, and even allow for independent arbitration. It's a massive signal designed to bring in foreign investment. So the big idea here, the optimistic theory, is that all of these economic changes, this liberalization, will create a domino effect. The hope is that by opening up the economy, political freedom and eventually a real democracy are going to follow right behind. Okay, so the economic picture looks pretty promising. But is that the whole story? Let's flip the coin now and look at the other side of the argument, the reasons to be deeply skeptical. Is the political change anywhere near as real as the economic stuff seems to be? Now, on the surface, you see some positive political signs. The new government has freed about 300 political prisoners. And look, that is a significant number, and it's a really powerful gesture. But, and this is a huge but, that gesture feels a lot less meaningful when you see this number. According to the watchdog group 4O panel, there are still around 600 political prisoners behind bars, and that includes a lot of key allies of the main opposition leaders. And when you dig in, a pretty clear pattern starts to emerge, a pattern of stalling. Most of those prisoner releases came with conditions, basically gagging them from any political activity. Hardliners from the old regime, like the very powerful Diosdado Cabello, are still in key positions. And this whole announcing a dialogue thing, that's a classic tactic the regime has used for years to buy time, all while they're ignoring the Constitution, which says they need to call new elections, and fast. This quote from Andrea Zazzara, a former minister who's seen how the regime works from the inside, just nails it. He's warning everyone to expect bureaucratic obstructionism. Basically, the strategy isn't to say no, it's to create endless delays and renegotiations to just wear everybody down. All of this brings us to the crucial role of the United States. As the main outside player here, their strategy is going to have a massive impact on how this all plays out. So here's the official game plan from Washington, laid out by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's a 3-stage plan. Stage 1, stabilization. Stage 2, economic recovery. And only then, Stage 3, a managed transition to democracy. It's pretty clear the focus right now is on those first 2 steps. But here's the potential trap in that plan. The U.S. is pointing out that a full transition to democracy can take a really long time. I mean, it took Spain 7 years, Paraguay almost 20. But a long, drawn-out timeline is exactly what the Venezuelan regime might be counting on. It gives them all the time in the world to consolidate their power and make sure they survive. So if we can't just rely on promises or symbolic gestures, what are the real, concrete signs of change that we should all be watching for? What are the true tests of a democracy? Think of it like a checklist. You have to ask, Are political exiles being allowed to come home and actually participate? Is there real freedom of the press? Are they reforming the electoral authority and the Supreme Court with genuinely independent people? And maybe most important of all, are the new laws actually being enforced by people who aren't just loyal to the regime? Those are the things that really matter. And that leaves us with one last massive question. The regime is basically betting that as people's wallets get a little fatter, they'll stop caring so much about political change. But it's also entirely possible that getting a taste of economic freedom will just make people demand real political freedom even more. Which way Venezuela will go, well, that's what we're all waiting to find out.